This program is presented in partnership with the New York State Senate and Assembly delegations representing Long Island, an inspiring example of what we can do when we collaborate with elected officials. We will hear from many of these representatives a little later in the program, but I want to thank them for taking the time to be here this evening to mark this important day and to recognize our honored guests. While I appreciate all of the JCRC of Long Island's programs, this one is especially meaningful and close to my heart. I'm sure many of you are aware of recent studies that state more than half of our population have little to no knowledge about the Holocaust. Many individuals cannot name a single concentration camp and are unaware of the number of people who were murdered during this time. However, the majority of Americans believe that it is important to teach about the Holocaust. For these reasons and more, I congratulate the members of the New York State Senate and Assembly who are sponsoring and co-sponsoring the Holocaust Education Bill. This bill will authorize the Commissioner of Education to conduct a study regarding courses of study on the Holocaust within New York State. Passage of this legislation would hopefully ensure that all of our children are properly taught about the Holocaust, so when we utter the words, never forget and never again, it is truly understood. Someone who definitely understands these words is our keynote speaker. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Leo Allman. Leo was born in Amsterdam, the Netherlands in July 1939. He was a hidden child during World War II. After the war, he came to the United States with his family to start a new life. He graduated from Phillips Academy in Andover, Massachusetts in 1957, Harvard College in 1961, Columbia University's Graduate Schools of Law and Business with a Juris Doctorate and an MBA in 1964. He also served his country in the U.S. Marine Corps and the Marine Corps Reserves from 1959 to 1965. Leo practiced law for more than 30 years, and while practicing, he established a real estate management company, which led ultimately to the founding of a real estate investment trust. Leo served as a director of the Anne Frank Center in the United States for 2 decades and as its chairman for over 7 years. He also served many years as the chairman of the Foundation for the Jewish Historical Museum of Amsterdam. He and his wife, Kay, have co-sponsored the exhibit State of Depression, The Power of Nazi Propaganda of the United States National Holocaust Memorial Museum in Washington, D.C., where he served as a member of its development committee. Please welcome Leo Allman. Leo?
Thank you very, very much. And I'm honored to be here, and I am especially honored to be in the presence of, virtually in this case, so many students who have accomplished so much. And it's always terrific to do something for the benefit of the JRCC. My story begins in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. Let me go first to my parents. My mother was born in 1913, and in 1932, she graduated from high school and started a life. She was born to parents who were quite successful. My grandfather had a diamond cutting business. They had beautiful cars. They had chauffeurs. They had gardeners. They lived a very good life. My mother was a member of the sorority, and she was no different from anyone else, though she was a member of the small Jewish community in Holland. In her day, let's go forward to 1936, when she married my father, who had come to Holland from Germany, and he also lived pretty well, but he had to leave Germany at age 18 because he could not go on there and get an education while he was practicing his Judaism. He came to Holland and worked in the largest department store where through a cousin he met my mother, and they married in 1936. Shortly thereafter, they came to the US, where my father was a trainee for the department store, and he worked briefly in Macy's and Penny's and Wanamaker's and Rich's and you name it. But in 1938, when my mother was pregnant with me and war had broken out in the Eastern Front, when the Germans attacked and took over Austria and subsequently Czechoslovakia, my parents returned to Holland. They were under the impression that Holland would never be attacked by the Germans because Hitler had promised as late as September of 1939 that he would not do so. So they came back thinking they would be safe and that they could live their life comfortably in Holland. At that time, Holland was occupied by approximately 9 million people. Of those, there were approximately 145,000 Jewish persons. Of those, approximately 85,000 lived in Amsterdam, and of those, 25,000 or so were engaged in the diamond business, as were my grandfather and his brother. It was a comfortable life. They were no different from anybody else, and they enjoyed all the rights and privileges of any other citizen. On May 10th, 1940, notwithstanding his promise not to attack Holland, because Holland had been neutral during World War I, and everyone thought it would be neutral during World War II. Nothing, all of that notwithstanding, Hitler and his troops attacked Holland. They bombarded the city of Rotterdam to smithereens. Rotterdam then and now is one of the most important ports in the world. And within a few days, Holland had been overrun by German attackers. We had the chance at that moment to escape. We went to a fishing port. The rumors were that there would be lots of boats there to take people to England. In fact, there were not, but there were a few, and people with money, especially coins, because paper had become worthless, they could buy passage to go to England, and some of my relatives did. Some landed ultimately via England in Port Washington, New York, no less. And we did not leave at that point. I had an earache, my grandmother had a toothache, or vice versa, and we decided not to go. It was utter chaos, and we would go and escape another day. So we went back to our apartment in Amsterdam, and a few days later, the borders were in fact closed, and we never had the chance to get out. At first, life was somewhat normal, but Holland was shortly taken over by a vicious anti-Semitic governor, Seyss-Inquart, who had actually been in Austria and had let Germans come in under some kind of pretext. And he took over Holland, and soon the decrees started to the point where there was a tightening vice for the Jewish persons. At first, all Jewish persons had to come to Amsterdam. So suddenly we had in our apartment my grandparents, a great grandmother, an uncle and aunt, and we got along, luckily, but it was not as nice as it had been. Also, pretty soon, all Jews had to register and give up all of their valuables and all of their belongings of any value, up to and including gold teeth. So anything that that mattered and made life comfortable, including bicycles, mopeds, motorcycles, cars, telephones, anything that could make them mobile and learn about the outside world was taken away. We also had to register all stocks and bonds, all bank accounts, and all Jewish persons lost their jobs. They could only work for certain limited Jewish enterprises, and we could not go to the theaters. We could not go to the schools. We were not allowed in the public schools anymore. We could not go to grocery stores or other stores. We could not go to the parks or restaurants. Life was pretty difficult. And at a given moment, not only did we have to have ID cards, but those ID cards had to have a J on them to indicate that we were Jews. So suddenly our lives had changed very much to the point where we had been fully assimilated and part of society. Suddenly we were demonized. Starting shortly after the takeover, anyone over age 6 had to wear a Jewish star, a gold star that had to be sewn on the clothes. It could not just be pinned. And we could not use public transportation, so we all had to walk, and everybody knew who the Jews were by their stars. Notwithstanding that, we were alive. And pretty soon, my father got a notice that he should go to a German work camp. Killing camps and concentration camps, as they became known, were not yet known at that point. They were so-called work camps, and they got a notice the same date actually that Margot, Frank, and Frank's sister got a notice. My father got a call-up notice with a specific list on what he was to bring to the train station, which included heavy boots and work clothes, sweaters, blankets, some canteens, things that would help him survive in a work camp. But he was young and healthy, as was my mother, and they thought they could survive if they actually had to go to a work camp. My father went to the train station, and he saw there that people were getting pushed into cattle cars, that the doors were locked to those cars, and that the people being shipped off were not just healthy young people. They were invalids, they were children, they were elderly, they were people with all sorts of diseases and afflictions. So he thought that this did not look good, and he decided that he would not go. Shortly after or before that date, my mother's sister, whose husband had been active in the resistance, had been picked up and thrown in jail, and ultimately was transported together with her 3 children. At that point, and it was now in the summer of 1942, my parents had made the decision that in order to survive, they had to go into hiding. That was a very, very difficult decision, because here they had been so well assimilated and lived such a good life, and suddenly they were different, they were demonized, they were brutalized, and their only way of surviving in their own minds was to, as my mother called it, to decide to go and live like rats. They had to become totally illegal, where they had been such upstanding citizens. Now they had to go and become illegal and go into hiding. My father decided that to go into hiding, he had to get some money quickly. They had to pay for their hiding place. They had to arrange to get food somehow while they were in hiding. And so he felt he had to get some money quickly. My father had been a rug buyer in the department store. So he had a relationship with a rug dealer in Amsterdam. And he went to that rug dealer and he asked the rug dealer for a pile of rugs that he could potentially sell. And he couldn't pay for them until he sold them. But the rug dealer made that deal. And so my father got a bunch of rugs and he sold them very successfully over a period of months, largely to Germans who were occupying houses from Dutch Jews who had been transported out of the country. He made quite a bit of money in a few months, and then it became too dangerous, and they made the decision that they had to go immediately into hiding. By then, it was early in 1943. It was February or so in 1943, and my parents had found a hiding place in an attic on the main street of Amsterdam in what we would call these days a taxpayer. It was a 3-story building with a shop on the ground floor. Above that was the couple who had arranged for my parents to go hiding in the attic. That couple was located by my mother because my mother had helped them while she was doing social volunteer work, and the father was disabled. They had 2 teenage daughters, and above them was a young couple who worked every day in an apartment on what we would call the 2nd floor. And above that was the attic where my parents had their hiding place. But in the meantime, as my father had to get money, he ultimately went back to the rug dealer and he said to the rug dealer he could not do this anymore. So he had to give him back the remaining rugs. And the rug dealer, who was a Muslim, he said to my father as follows, and I'm just going to do a bit of show and tell here. I'm going to show, if you can see it, I'll move back a bit. He gave him a rug. Can you see this at all? He gave him a rug, which is, as you can see, it's about 6 feet long and maybe 3.5 feet wide. It's a Persian prayer rug. And the Muslim rug dealer said to him, and actually it's a beautiful, very well-made rug. And you could see here that for this prayer rug, for the Muslim religion, you could not show the head. So this was a place where you place the head. And here you see where the hands would go. And my father, he said to my father, I know that you are an infidel. But he said, take this prayer rug with you when you go into hiding, and Allah will save you. Well, we don't know if that's what happened, but the ultimate end of the story will be, and we'll get there, that my parents did survive, and they still think that it might have been because of the prayer rug. And this is a very meaningful part of our lives, as you can imagine. And this rug was on my parents' piano until they died. And now it's on our piano, which we inherited from my folks. And this rug is an important part, at least, of my story. At any rate, my parents had to figure out what to do with their precocious, cute little 3.5-year-old son, which of course was me. And that was the most difficult decision that they will have ever made and that anyone could make. They had to make the decision to give me up to the resistance, who would place me somewhere with people who would take care of me. And those people could not know who I was or where I was from. And my parents could not know where I was because it was too dangerous that somebody would betray my hiding. That decision to give up your child at age 3.5 and not know when you would see him again, that was so, so difficult. It actually caused my grandparents to not speak to my parents until the end of the war because they thought that was a bad decision. In the meantime, ultimately, it was maybe the best and bravest decision that anybody could make. I have a 3.5-year-old grandchild, the second youngest of my 9. I couldn't conceive in my worst moments giving her up. But my parents did that, and it ultimately saved me and saved my parents. I was placed first with a young man who lived outside Amsterdam, and he was recently married, and that marriage ended more or less while I was placed with them, probably because of me. And I was sent briefly to an orphanage north of Amsterdam. The father of this young man, who was a policeman retired in Amsterdam with a slight disability, but not truly disabled, he decided that he sort of liked me, and he was able to get a pass to go through the German lines to pick me up in that orphanage and bring me back to his home. And I stayed with this man and his wife. I call them Oma and Opa Schimmel. Schimmel is the Dutch word for both a white steed and mold for some reason. I stayed with Oma and Opa Schimmel for the balance of the war. They saved me, they took care of me, they loved me. They were able to get enough food for me so that I could survive. And at the end of the war, I did survive the war somehow. I did not know while I was in hiding that a war was going on. They kept me inside basically the entire war. And they were, of course, afraid that somebody would betray me or betray them for taking care of me. The Germans paid very large bounties to anybody who would betray a Jewish child or a Jewish person in hiding. And it turned out at the end of the war that everyone on the block knew that these people were hiding a Jewish child and no one betrayed them, which was also quite amazing. At any rate, the war ended at a given moment. On May 5th, 1945, the Canadian Maple Leaf Brigade liberated Amsterdam. And as a result of that, there's always been a close relationship between the Dutch and the Canadians. When the war ended, everybody went outside cheering and screaming and yelling and kissing and hugging and whatever, dancing in the streets. It's the one and only thing that I really do remember well about my hiding. And everybody wore something orange to honor the House of Orange. And I had to have an orange cap. And I made my war parents stand in line for hours to get my orange cap. In the meantime, my parents came to find me. They were told by the resistance where I was, and they walked from one end of Amsterdam to the other, where I was hidden. My father had feet that were bulbous. They were just enormous because he had not walked in 2 3/4 years. And they looked awful. They had had no food. There was a hunger winter in 1944 when more than 20,000 people died of hunger in Amsterdam. There was just no food. And yet they survived. And they came to get me, and they rang the doorbell, and my war mother knew that this would be the day when my real parents would come and get me. And they introduced themselves as my real parents. I didn't remember them. I didn't know them, and they looked awful. And they suddenly told me that they were my real parents and they wanted to take me away. And that was difficult for everybody. But we got through it. I was weaned away over a period of several days, perhaps even weeks. And ultimately, I stayed with my real parents. And as you heard, a couple of years later, we came to the US. We came because even though my father got his job back and got some money, and we got a house and we got a car, and life seemed to be comfortable, all their friends had been lost. 90% of the Jews in Amsterdam and in Holland had disappeared. Of the 145,000 before the war, only 14,500 survived the war after the war. It was the largest elimination of Jews percentage-wise in any country in Europe. And all my parents' friends had gone. The economy was a wreck, and they decided to embark on a new life in the US. And we came here, and as you heard, I have had the benefit of some wonderful education and a wonderful life here in Long Island, and I'll end my story there at this point.
Wow. Thank you, Leo. Thank you for sharing that. I know I've heard you before, but each time I learn a new wrinkle, and some things I remember, and I'm always so emotional and so drawn towards the story, and it's so shocking, and you put it in perfect perspective when you equated it to your grandchild, your 3-year-old grandchild having to walk away, from your grandchild, and it puts it right in perspective for everyone. What the decision your parents had to make on the fly at that moment. So, but I want to thank you. Thank you so much for being with us this evening and sharing your story. I appreciate it. I know everybody at JCRC of Long Island appreciates it. And I hope, and usually we're together, we can see the faces of all the students and the parents, but I'm sure, looking at some of that I do see, I know they appreciated hearing your story. I now have the pleasure of introducing JCRC of Long Island's Executive Director, Mindy Perlmutter. Mindy?
Thank you, Adam. I also want to say to Leo, once again, Leo, thank you so very much. You always inspire and move all of us. So thank you for being with us tonight. Additionally, I want to thank all of you for joining us. A special note of appreciation to our local government officials who are with us as well today. This evening would not have come together without two very special people who I have to tell you, I'm very lucky to have as my colleagues. I want to especially thank Robin Berman and Stephanie Cruvan for all that you do. You both worked so hard to put this program together tonight, so thank you both. It is now my pleasure to introduce a good friend of JCRC, Rabbi Dave Siegel. Rabbi Siegel is the Executive Director at HaShoah University's Hillel. He is also a community leader in the truest sense of those words. Rabbi?
Thank you, Mindy, and thank you, Leo. So tonight we honor and remember those individuals whose lives were stolen from us during the Holocaust. They were mothers, fathers, siblings, spouses, and friends who never had the opportunity to live their lives, to reach their full potential, as we just heard. Behind me are 6 candles to represent the 6 million members of the Jewish community murdered by the Nazis. On Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day, it is traditional to read a special version of the Al Mali Rachamim, the prayer for the departed. So the following is an English version of this prayer. Al Mali Rachamim, exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure, to the souls of our brethren who perished in the Shoah, the Holocaust. Men, women, and children who were senselessly murdered. May their memory endure and inspire deeds of charity and goodness in our lives. May their souls thus be bound up in the bond of life, and may they rest in peace. And let us say Amen. In a time when we are seeing hate rise once again in our community and in others, it is essential that we take a stand, we act, and we let people know that never again means never again. Thank you, Leo, and thank you, JCRC Long Island.
Thank you, Dave. Here, thank you, Rabbi, because we're going to transfer you to Dave in a few minutes. I want to share with all of you for a moment some dates on the calendar. For those of you who are keeping accurate records, Holocaust Remembrance Day was actually last week. However, I think we can all agree that this is not something we should just remember once a year. Additionally, this week we observed 2 events, Israel's Memorial Day and Israel's Independence Day. Israel went from a day of mourning to a day of celebrating. To some degree, I feel that's how this mirrors our program here today. We are looking at first remembering the horrors of the Holocaust, seeing what happens when evil reigns. But then we transfer and we look at what happens when good takes over. And we see our community thriving. For that to happen, we need special people who will take a stand in their community. And today, all we need to do is look at our evening honorees to see such people. I would like to take a moment to tell you about a wonderful man, a wonderful friend that JCRCLI had, who meant so much to us. Rabbi Meir Middleman, more affectionately known to so many of us as Rabs. He was the executive director of HaShoah from 1985 to 2008, before becoming the organization's Jewish educator and then the director of community outreach. For many years, Rabs worked with JCRC, especially in preparing for this event this evening. Rabs was a kind, compassionate, loving, energetic person who was always looking to make his community a little better. It was these qualities and so much more that made him such a mensch. Last month, the world became dimmer when Rab passed away. However, JCRC wants to bring back some of his light and in his memory, honor someone who personifies the attributes Rabs held so dear. Therefore, in Rabs' memory, we have created the JCRCLI Rabs Award to be presented annually to a professional who embodies many of Rabs' qualities. I am happy to say that you have already met and had a chance to meet our first recipient. We are delighted to present this award to someone who both Rabs and JCRC respects and admires. It is with great pleasure that we bestow this recognition on Rabbi Dave Siegel. But Dave, before I give you the virtual floor again, I want to share some thoughts with you that your boss, Hofstra's president, Stuart Rabinowitz, asked me to convey. He sends his regrets for not being able to join us, but congratulates you on receiving this award. He expressed that Rabbi Middleman was a beloved member of Hofstra community and that he cannot think of a more deserving recipient of an award named in his honor. He continued to say that you have taken up the mantle of leadership and engagement that Rabs fostered at Hofstra, and he is so pleased that you are in this role. And Robin, I know that you're over here. If you can please hold up and everybody can see a little something that we would like to give to Dave, which we will get to you as soon as we possibly can. In honor, as I said, of Rab's memory and in gratitude of all that you do, Dave. Congratulations on being our first recipient.
Thank you, Mindy, and thank you. I'm going to try to hold it together. That was beautiful, and I'm truly honored to be the first recipient of the Rab's Award, named for our, as you heard, our friend and teacher, Rabbi Meir Middleman, who spent 43 years working for the Jewish people. I recently told someone that you didn't know Meir, you experienced him. You experienced his love for life, Judaism, Clementines, if you knew him, grammar, and of course his students. Every interaction truly meant something to him. And when he asked you how you were doing, it's because he wanted to know. He wanted to hear about your family, about your life. He wanted to hear about the things you were thinking about. And he cherished these conversations and recognized that each interaction is really an opportunity to get to know each other in a meaningful way. As I mentioned, for over 40 years, Rab served the Long Island Jewish community. And when news started to spread of his passing, messages of appreciation and stories of how he changed people's lives came in from all over the world. Meir was an example for all of us of how the actions of one person can make a difference. He loved participating in this event, and he would have such nachas, pride, hearing about tonight's amazing honorees. So thank you so much for the inspirational work you're doing. It's truly amazing. Thank you, Mr. Allman, for sharing your story with us. More than ever, people need to hear it. People need to remember. And finally, thank you to JCRC of Long Island and our representatives for everything that you do for our communities. We learn in the rabbinic text, Pirkei Avot, we are not required to complete the task, but we cannot desist from it. Thank you to everyone joining us tonight, for me and for Rabs, and for keeping this chain of service alive in our community. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you, Dave. And Mazel Tov to you. As Adam mentioned earlier, this event is being co-sponsored with our New York State Senate and Assembly. We have some members with us who would like to say a few words, but before they do, I want to say, first of all, thank you to both the senators and Assembly members for the citations that they sent to the school districts for these students for their honors that we're about to hear now. We are thrilled that you are all with us. What I am going to do, this is, to me, this is going to be a little of maybe the most awkward part of this program, because obviously normally I would have seen you in front. I have a list that's going on my side in my participants. So that's how I'm going to call you. And I hope you are here as I call you. All the Assembly and Senate members, please, as you come on, just unmute yourself so we can hear you. And I have actually a list in alphabetical, so I'm going to start that way. And I see my first is our good friend, Senator Anna Kaplan. So Anna, are you available?
I am. Thank you, Mindy. Thank you so much for having this wonderful event. And it is important for us to always remember and always have the sentiment that Rabbi Siegel said, never again. And we can only achieve that by having these events and making sure the next generation and the generation after that hears of these stories. I want to thank Leo Allman again. Leo, I had heard your story before, but I have to say, hearing it for the second time, it's as if I heard it for the first time. Thank you for sharing your amazing story. And I want to congratulate Rabbi Siegel on his receiving of the award, Reb's Award tonight. And also a big thank you and gratitude to JCRC Long Island for all that you do every day, not just today, but every day in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Kaplan. We greatly appreciate it. The next person I'm seeing down is Assemblyman, I believe is Steve Stern. Is Steve with us?
Yeah, thank you. And it's good to be with everybody this evening. I'm Assemblyman Steve Stern. I'm so honored to join with JCRC to commemorate Holocaust Remembrance Day. Mindy, thanks to you and your outstanding team at JCRC for hosting this critically important event. And I join with all of you in grateful appreciation to Leo Allman for sharing his personal account of survival during the dark years of the Shoah. A special mazel tov to Rabbi David Siegel, the inaugural recipient of the first annual JCRC Long Island Rabs Award, in loving memory of Rabbi Mayor Middleman, affectionately known as Rabs, who brought inspiration and joy to members of the Hillel at Hofstra. I know that role very well. For years, I had served as the president of the board of directors of the Hillel at my alma mater at Tulane University, and enjoyed a very special relationship with our executive director. And so, Rabbi, congratulations to you. I know very well the impact that the leader of Hillel has on our future Jewish leaders of the future. So a mazel tov to you. Of course, I want to recognize the outstanding students from our local 10th Assembly District school districts. With the passage of time and the loss of those every single day who survived the Shoah, it's really up to all of us to keep their memories alive. And as hate crimes around the world increase, we must not be silent. We know that we all owe it to those who perished in the Shoah, those who survived but are no longer with us, and those who have been victims of other genocides and those suffering as we speak, to speak up, as our outstanding young honorees this evening have done, and I have every confidence will continue to do, to remember Zachor. And thank you for having me.
Thank you, Steve. Next, Assemblywoman Gina Saletti. Is Gina here?
Hi, Mindy. Yes, how are you? This is such a wonderful program. Thank you, Mindy. Thank you, JCRC, for organizing and for including me. Mr. Allman, my constituent and fellow Port resident, I had the honor of spending my morning actually with your lovely wife, Kay, and now this evening with you. Thank you for sharing your personal story, with us. It's, as hard as it is to hear, it's important for us to hear it, so we never forget. And also I want to congratulate Rabbi Siegel on your honor this evening. I don't know you, but you sound like a wonderful man, and a lot of people here are lucky to know you. And also to the student honorees, congratulations on your honor. And just really quick, special shout out to Chelsea, Ellie, Lauren, Giselle, and Delaney, who were in my district. So well done, young people. And just thank you again for organizing this. It's such a success. Oh my gosh, like 170 people on here. Well done, and I'm just so honored to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gina. The next person I see on my list is Assemblyman Chuck Levine. Is Chuck here?
Thank you, Mindy, and thanks as well to Adam and Robin and Stephanie and everyone at JCRC Long Island for organizing this amazing program. And I want to thank as well Mr. Allman. It's always an honor and a privilege to be with you, even if it is only remotely, as you talk about the triumph of the human spirit against almost seemingly insurmountable odds. And thanks as well, and congratulations to Rabbi Siegel on the well-deserved honor of being the first JCRC-LI Rabs Award winner. And thanks as well, and congratulations to all the students who've participated in this meaningful event. And just in closing, for generation after generation, Jewish people have recited this phrase in the face of adversity. And the phrase is Am Israel Chai, which means that the people of Israel survive in spite of everything. This is a critical juncture in our history in the United States. We have, over the course of the past few years, seen a rise in hatred of the other. Now, as Jews, we are all, and always will be, as Mr. Allman so well knows, the other. But today, the future of the Jewish people and the future of the American people are inextricably intertwined, because we who have said for so long, Am Israel Chai, again, the people of Israel survive, may as well today say this phrase, Am America Chai, the people of America will survive. Thanks for letting me be a part of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jack. I believe Assembly Member Missy Miller is with us. Missy, are you here?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, welcome.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me be a part of this, even though it's virtual this year. JCRC always do such a wonderful job with this program. And it is so important that we make sure that people remember. And you know, when we say never forget, we need to make sure that they don't. We need to be teaching this. Leo, thank you for, again, every time I hear your story, I'm moved. It's just such a wonderful, wonderful story of surviving and overcoming, and it's such an important lesson. Rabbi Siegel, I don't know you, but congratulations. This is quite an honor, apparently. So you have big boots to fill, and I'm sure you're doing it. And of course, I want to thank all of the students. This is, you know, they are our future. So we always applaud when students do kind things, when students are doing good work. And especially I'll shout out to the students in my district. There's Claire, Madeline, and Emma. Thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you, Missy. Is Assemblyman Fred Thiel with us?
Yes, Mindy, thank you. It's good to see you, and I thank you for inviting me to again participate in this day of remembrance. I get to do this all the way out on the East End in Sag Harbor. It's a shame that we aren't able to all be together. I'm hopeful that maybe by next year we certainly will. I only take solace in the fact that my ride home tonight will be a lot shorter than it usually is when we do these Remembrance Days. But I just want to thank JCRC Long Island for this great program. I look forward to it each year. It truly is inspiring. And the reason why it is inspiring is because of the stories of people like Leo Allman. A harrowing experience, an incredible story, but inspiring nonetheless. Thank you, Leo, again for sharing your story tonight. And congratulations to Rabbi Dave Siegel on receiving this first annual RABS Award. Congratulations for all the good work you do. And certainly to all the students across Long Island that are being honored tonight. But in particular for me, the students that I share with Assemblywoman Judy Griffin, who I know will speak later, from the great school district in the town of Riverhead, the Riverhead High School. Azaria Allen, Amaya McDaniel, and Deontay Ramos, congratulations to you, and great work by all the students. And again, thank you for having me and allowing me to participate here tonight.
Thank you, Fred. Is Assemblywoman Judy Griffin with us? Judy, are you
Yes, I'm right here. Yes. Hi, Mindy, and it's an honor to be with all of you tonight. I'm Assemblywoman Judy Griffin, and I just want to thank the JCRC Long Island for organizing this important Holocaust Remembrance program. And I want to thank Leo Allman for sharing his remarkable story of survival. It's really amazing. And congratulations to Rabbi Dave Siegel on receiving the first annual JCRC Long Island RABS Award. That's really amazing to receive such recognition. So I congratulate you. And I am so grateful to all of the students who participated in this wonderful program across Long Island. And I will just mention the students that are in Assembly District 21 from Baldwin High School. I will congratulate Brooke DeLuca and Tess Ferguson. From East Rockaway High School, Madeline Prucha. And from Freeport High School, we have Sheann Gardner, Jillian Igneri, and Brenna Igneri. Congratulations to all the students who took the time out to participate in this amazing program, and congratulations to the ones that happen to be in my district. So thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be with you tonight. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Judy. Okay, next on my list is Assemblyman John Mcewen. Is he with us, John?
Yes, I'm right here, and thank you so much for having me today. I just want to thank the JCRC for, of course, hosting this event. A special congratulations to Rabbi Dave Siegel as the recipient of the first annual RABS Award. I'd like to congratulate all the students of wonderful work. I know that we have quite a few from the 17th Assembly District, and it's wonderful that we see all these students participate in this remembrance event. And also, I was honored to hear the story of Leo Allman, and everything that he went through. And it is important that we always remember. I actually went to Israel, and a part of my trip to Israel was going to the Holocaust Memorial Museum that's there. And I walked through the whole museum, heard many stories, and they have a special tree planted for all those people that did so much to save lives that we don't know. Because for every person that we do know from what it is that they did, there's always one person that we don't. And it's important that we remember that we must always confront evil and must always push to help people and never, never persecute. And thank you so much to the JCRC once again for hosting this event and just having us all remember. God bless.
John. Is Senator James Gorbican with us? Jim, are you here?
I am here.
Hello.
Thank you so much, Mindy, and for all that you do. I also want to congratulate the students for everything that they do every year, and this year especially, and for Rabbi Siegel, congratulations, and to Leo Allman, thank you. You actually brought back a distant memory of mine, growing up on Long Island and growing up Catholic. When I was very young, and I don't know if I was 10 or 11, trying to remember how old I was, but I remember my parents took us to the Adirondacks, and we rented a cabin on a lake with a bunch of other cabins. It was kind of a community, and there was, and I remember seeing an older woman who had numbers on her arm, and I remember asking my father, who was a World War II veteran, what that was, and of course he explained to me. And of course I did, we did obviously study the Holocaust and World War II in school, but not in any depth. And I'm not exactly sure why it happened. Maybe I was just too loud in the way I asked my father the question, or somebody was involved in this. But later that night, we were around the campfire, and this woman sat around and told us her story. And it is something I will never forget. And that's why it is so important for this Holocaust Center, for Leo and others who continue to tell these stories. At some point, we will not have people able to tell these stories who actually survived. And it'll be up to the rest of us to do that. But thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you so much, Jim. I see Jody is sitting there, so before she has to run out, Jody, if you would like to.
I'm so sorry. I have had 3 Zoom meetings at 7 o'clock this evening, but I'm happy to be here now. As a councilwoman in Riverhead, we've always been very supportive of our rabbi here and our faith community and listening to the stories about the Holocaust. Actually, my mother, her last name was Lipschitz, and her grandparents came over from Germany and they were Haas. But so I had a little bit of both, and my sisters still just celebrated Passover and, or I'm sorry, the Seder. So it's very interesting, and it's my strong opinion that everybody has to believe in something and everybody has to respect everybody's beliefs. But we're here tonight to congratulate the recipients of these awards for, Leo Allman, and I want to congratulate you all, and I want to thank you, Leo, for having this. And I'll be here for you. And if you ever needed anything from me, I hope you don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The next person I have is Assemblyman Michael Matasano. Michael, I know you are here.
Thank you. And thank you for allowing me to be part of the program this evening. First, I want to, Assemblyman Michael Matasano, 15th Assembly District in Nassau County. First, I'd like to thank the JCRC Long Island for having this program tonight. It's so very important for everyone, and especially for our students. And Mr. Allman, thank you for sharing your story with us. I know it could be painful sometimes bringing back these memories and speaking about them, but it's so important not only for us to hear, but for our young people to hear history itself from the mouth of the person that lived it. So thank you so much for doing that. Congratulations to Rabbi Siegel on receiving the inaugural award tonight. I'm sure it's well-deserved and you're well thought of by the organization. And also to the student recipients for the awards. You did great work. I'd like to congratulate you all, but I want to take a moment to pick out 4 that are in my district: from Oyster Bay High School, Muscan Kumar; from Syosset High School, Lacey Janice; from Farmingdale High School, Shawana Champagny; and from Locust Valley High School, Jessica Chi. Thank you for the great work that you all have been doing and hopefully will continue to do. And thank you, Mindy, for inviting me.
Thank you so very much. The last person in the assembly that I have on my list is Assemblywoman Kimberly Gympier. I don't know if I didn't see you. I don't know if you are here. Kimberly, are you on with us? And she might not be. And if I missed any others, I would appreciate if someone could put it in the chat if there's a senator or assembly that I missed. Wait, I think I see Kimberly coming on.
Yes, sorry, it wasn't allowing me to unmute, so I raised my hand.
Hello.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you, JCRC Long Island, for having this. It's so important for us to remember history and to remember those. You know, someone said they went to Israel, and I can remember last year I went to Israel. And one of the things that really stuck with me was I was able to go through, it's sort of like a museum, but also a memorial. And you heard the different names of children who were passed during the Holocaust. And that was one of the most touching moments for me in Israel, particularly as a mom. So I thank you, JCRC, for keeping this alive and keeping history alive as we congratulate Rabbi. And thank you, Leo, for sharing a very touching and personal story. Thank you for that. It takes courage to share that and to allow other people to experience it through your story. And I want to congratulate all the students across Long Island, and particularly some in my district. I want to congratulate Jada from Copeg, Jennifer from Copeg, Jessica from Copeg, Brianna, Maxwell, Theodore from Half Hollow Hills, and Deborah and Dennis from Wyandanch. It's so important that we share the history with our children so they can continue to carry the stories. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Kim. And I know that we have one more who unfortunately could not be with us in person, but I know that our New York State Controller, Tom DiNapoli, sent a message, and if we have technology working, we will get to see him. So let's see if we...
Hello, this is State Controller Tom DiNapoli. I'd like to thank the Jewish Community Relations Council of Long Island and its Executive Director, Mindy Perlmutter, for asking me to participate in this solemn event to honor those killed during the Holocaust. The Holocaust was the systematic persecution and murder of approximately 6 million Jews, many of them children, by the Nazi regime and its collaborators. Nazi authorities also targeted other groups because of their perceived racial inferiority. Many were persecuted on political, ideological, and behavioral grounds. According to the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum, by 1945 and the end of the war, the Nazis and their collaborators killed nearly 2 out of every 3 European Jews as part of the final solution, Hitler's policy to murder the Jews of Europe. The Holocaust taught us many important lessons, lessons that should never be forgotten. We must never let such atrocities happen again. That's why it's my privilege to honor the 50 students who have taken to heart the mission of the JCRC to foster positive and meaningful relationships with religious and ethnic groups across Long Island to further the cause of unity and stand against prejudice and division. I salute you for your advocacy and dedication. The last year has seen its own trials and tribulations, but the work done by the students gives me hope in the future. It's also an honor today to recognize Holocaust survivor Leo S. Allman, a dear friend who I've known for many years. Leo, I'm inspired by your story, your courage, and your resilience. God bless you. I wish you all health and safety. I look forward to once again participating in events like this in person as soon as possible. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so very much to the controller. And we are now going to continue with our program. And I would like to call upon someone who I introduced earlier, the incomparable Robin Berman, and she is going to introduce the phenomenal students who are being honored this evening. I just want to make note for all of you that since we are not able to do this in person, we can't hand out the booklets that we would normally do to have you read about all our wonderful students. We have in the chat, there is a link to the bios of all the students that we are honoring. Also, if you go to JCRC's webpage, it is listed on there, as well as we will be putting all of this on our Facebook page as well with the link to the students' bios. And I strongly suggest that you do have, when you have a chance, to please look at them, because these are remarkable young men and women who really deserve a tremendous amount of our praise. And I want to congratulate all of them. And I want to turn now the program over to Robin and to our PowerPoints.
Good evening, everyone. This is a wonderful point in the program. I just want to reiterate what we've heard before, which is thank you to Leo for speaking. Congratulations to Rabbi Siegel on your award. And thank you to all the elected officials who joined us for the program this evening and offered your congratulations to the students. I want to thank you as well for the work you did in getting certificates to the schools. The students, hopefully you've received the proclamations or citations that were prepared for you. If you have not yet, then your wonderful teachers, counselors, and administrators will be sure, I'm sure, to get that to you. In addition, this week, JCRC of Long Island did mail certificates to each of you. I have a sample of one here. I don't know, actually, maybe you can't see it, but we did send out these certificates to you as well, the Student Building Bridges Award, which is, why you are all here, one of the many reasons you're here this evening, as well as a hard copy of the program that has all of the biographies of the students. So we did mail that all to the schools. And I do want to say, before we get to honoring each of the students, a special thanks to the school administrators, the guidance counselors, and the teachers who have been working with me these last few weeks to make sure that you had the opportunity to be here with us this evening. So thank you to all of you. So we're going to have the screen. We prepared a PowerPoint presentation that you will all be seeing shortly. And this is the presentation of the Student Building Bridges Award for 2021 in Holocaust Remembrance Day, in partnership with the New York State Assembly and Senate members representing Nassau and Suffolk counties. So this evening from Baldwin High School, we have Courtney Bobb, Brooke DeLuca, and Tess Ferguson. Congratulations to each of you. From JFK High School in Belmore, we have Samantha Embinder, Rachel Nosen, and Layla Schechner. Congratulations. From Brentwood High School, we have Ezekiel Diaz. Congratulations to you, Ezekiel. From Calhoun High School, we have Amrita Jacob, Joan Messi, and Jordan Novak. Congratulations. From Comac High School, Benjamin Tortora. Congratulations. From Copeg High School, we have Jada Angel, Jennifer Calderon, and Jessica Ortiz Max. Congratulations. From East Meadow High School, we have Jeremy Goldstein, Samantha Goldstein, and Dylan Mednick. Congratulations to each of you. From East Rockaway High School, Clara Cutie and Madeline Pruja. Congratulations. From Farmingdale High School, Shauna Champani. Congratulations. From Floral Park Memorial High School, Jake Goldberg, Brittany Josephs, and Daniela Zacharias. Congratulations. From Freeport High School, Cheyenne Gardner, Brenna Igneri, Jillian Igneri, and Samira Lawal. Congratulations. From Great Neck North High School, Chelsea Cohen, Ella Lampione, Lauren Murphy, and Giselle Rodriguez. Congratulations to you. From Half Hollow Hills High School East, Rayana Schwam. Congratulations. From Half Hollow Hills High School West, we have Maxwell Shiro and Theodore Shiro. Congratulations to you. From Harborfields High School, Aaliyah Steinberg. Congratulations. From Huntington High School, Yolani Cabrera, Jorge Parada Cisneros, and Yanira Riviera Ronquillo. Congratulations. From Locust Valley High School, Jessica Chi, Isabella McLawn, and Sabrina Ratchadhari. Congratulations. From Longwood High School, Amber Caldas. From General Douglas MacArthur High School, David DiRenzo. Congratulations. From Mineola High School, Delaney Landivar. Congratulations, Delaney. From Oceanside High School, Emma Romano. Congratulations. From Oyster Bay High School, Muskan Kumar. Congratulations to you. From Riverhead High School, Azaria Allen, Amayad McDaniel, and Deontay Ramos. Congratulations. From Smithtown High School East, Olivia Scotia, Genevieve Talento, and Kylie Williams. Congratulations. From Smithtown High School West, Michaela Dugan, Mackenzie Luna, and Abby Reinflesh. Congratulations. From Syosset High School, Lacey Janis. And from Valley Stream Central High School, Mary Chong. Congratulations. John Rodriguez and Daniela Santiolema. From Ward Melville High School, we have Riley Meckley. Congratulations. And from Wyandanch Memorial High School, we have Dennis Anarabia Funes and Deborah Viete. Congratulations.
I want to once again add my congratulations. I would have to tell you, as we were reading the names, and this is such a different world still, everything is virtual, but I was reading through the chats, and it was so nice watching all the different congratulations come up, because I will tell you, these students truly deserve your congratulations and your praise. You know, I have often said when I read some of these bios that someday when I grow up, I want to be like these students, because that's how much I think so heads and tails above the average population right now. And I'm so proud of all the students that we just honored today. So Robin, thank you so very much. I also want to say, because in case anyone thinks it's easy running a Zoom of this kind of nature, it's not. So to our virtuoso Jennifer Glick, thank you so very much for making everything so smooth and seamlessly. I will say now that this just has been a wonderful evening. It's not the evening that you may be used to, but really this in itself has been so special. Thank you again to our Holocaust survivor, Leo. It's always an honor to be, if not in your immediate presence, at least in your Zoom presence. And to all our recipients, congratulations on your award-winning, on your awards, as you have truly proven yourself in the community as being a true superstar. And to the families, because I do believe that's really important too, and the teachers who have all had such an impact on these students. Thank you all. And to all of you for joining us. I'm so very happy and fortunate that we were able all to gather this way. May all of you always continue to go from strength to strength. Good night all.